It's good morning, Erna Walraven. Thank you for joining us here at Yellow Shelf.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the correct pronunciation of my name. It's not very often.
Oh my God, you know what? I'm always okay when I say it wrong and someone corrects me, but thank you. Yay, I got it right. Congratulations, your book Hear Me Roar is out on the 29th of April. Uh, I'm surprised to hear this is your eighth book. I knew about one other book, but congratulations. Tell us, first of all, tell us about this book. Tell us what we need to know about Hear Me Roar.
Well, I was a zookeeper, one of the first female zookeeper in the early 1980s, and I found a very sexist workplace. And once I became more and more interested in animals, I realized that a lot of the biology attributed to women is based on early zoologists in Darwin's time going out into the wide world, the new empire, and describing animals. And they always described the females as innocent bystanders in the active lives of the males, inferior in every way. And that sort of developed a whole sexist biology, and it was mostly wishful thinking. That's how they liked their women in Victorian times. So putting a biological background to that and a justification was something that reverberated through society for centuries. So women were considered to be the same as the females, animals that were described, dutiful mothers. They had to be nurturing, gentle, never aggressive, etc., etc. And of course, at some stage in the 70s, female biologists started to go out in the world and went, well, hang on, this is not quite how it is. And fortunately, I was able to observe lots of wild animals, females in male-dominated animal societies, and see how they gained authority and agency. I was able to absorb lots of animal matriarchal societies and realize there was actually a very different biology at play in nature, and to model us and our desired behavior as women um, on those misinformed ideals was obviously totally wrong. So it took me a while to write a book about it, but eventually that's what I did.
Yeah, look, it's a fascinating observation of your 3-decade career. You know, Erna, what I love is that you followed your dream as a child. You became this zookeeper. You were a trailblazer, you've been described as. Um, and look, you obviously have the ability to write books. You know, you've got 8 books to your name already. Tell me about the reason to write this book, sort of part memoir, part, science and observation. Tell us about what
Yeah.
inspired you to.
Um, I wrote it as a pop science book about female animals and what that meant for us, girls and women. And the publisher said, we love it, but we want you to put in a lot more memoir. Memoir writing is always a bit difficult because, you expose your own vulnerabilities. People you've never met suddenly know a lot about you, and that can be a little bit startling sometimes because you know nothing about them, and suddenly they've read that, sometimes people humiliated you so much that you were crying in the public toilets at the zoo.
Yeah.
And that was a bit more tricky, but it was a topic that had always interested me. Obviously, having been impacted by being one of the first female zookeepers in Australia, and the opposition to a significant part of my male colleagues always gave me an absolute interest on the lives of female animals. And as in lives of humans. Some animals are downtrodden, some animals are the king or the queen of the jungle. And it was a topic that was quite dear to my heart. I did want to write, after I retired, I wrote one on leadership first because I'd learned a lot about leadership from animals. And that was at a time where I looked at the world and thought, who are the leaders? Are there any leaders that I admire? What are the qualities of good leadership? So I was quite motivated to write that one first. But the one about females has been bubbling quite a long time. I
Sure.
went through my notes the other day and I started writing that one, an outline for it, and what was going to go in what chapter in 2020. And then another book came to the fore, and then another book came to the fore, and finally it was time. It was time to hear
Yay.
me roar.
Yes, and great title. Can I just say, like on a personal front, when a memoir is written, I often I love when memoirs have photos, and yours does. So I love,
Yeah,
like, that's a personal favorite of mine. I
yeah,
just wanted to share. And there's so many beautiful photos of you that, in your journey as a zookeeper with various animals, but there's this fabulous photo that I think people should go and check out is with you and Sir David Attenborough. It's just, you've
yes,
both got these fabulous smiles, and you're both, yeah, it's just, I love photos in memoirs. So,
yeah. That
um,
was a highlight of my life that day. It was
oh,
actually quite a funny story
yeah,
because David Attenborough had been at the zoo filming, and he had invited a select group to have a drink with him in the zoo after hours.
yeah.
And we were told we could bring a book for Sir David to sign. And my husband Rob had just given me a book for my birthday, which was Life on Air, David's memoir of his journey through broadcasting. And Rob, funnily, had written a dedication in it saying, to Erna, for you to spend quality time with the world's second most sexy man alive. So I brought that book along, and he had a great laugh
Yeah.
about it, and wrote a funny inscription, something like, with humility and best regards, given the previous inscription, blah blah. So I think we were still giggling about that when the photo was taken.
And look, you can tell the photo, you're both just beaming, and obviously you've been laughing. So it's there, some beautiful photos. I just wanted to share that. I really loved seeing those photos. Um, Erna, tell us, the book is out. It's going to be out globally on the 29th of April. Tell us how we connect with you. I follow you on Instagram, so I know, like, I can kind of keep up to date with you. But you tell us how, if anyone's out there is curious about the book, how do we connect with you and the book?
Well, I'm on Instagram. I don't post an awful lot, but when there's something new, then obviously I do a little post.
Yep.
So that's probably the best way, I'd say. It's just under my name. I haven't got a funny name on Instagram. It's just my own name.
Sure. And look, I'll put it in the show notes. I'll put some references to where people can go to check out the book as well. Thank you so much for talking to us. Erna, am I allowed to ask that cheeky question? Is there more books to come, or are you just going to
Yes,
enjoy? There
yes,
is. Oh,
yes. I'm
yay.
I'm quite a compulsive writer, so I'm not sure. I've always got a couple that I'm sort of half outlining, half draft, blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
so I'm not sure which one is going to be the next one. There's still a few ideas. We have so much to learn from animals. By looking at the wild world, we
Yeah.
get a much better idea. Like one of the main messages, I suppose, in Hear Me Roar for women is that alone we stand, together we conquer.
Yes.
And that's a strong message that we see in animal populations.
Yeah.
Female animals, particularly in male-dominated society, if they bond together, if they join together, stand up against, misbehavior
Yeah.
of the ones in charge, they have a much better life. They have authority. They are very influential in voting for the next alpha male to lead the group.
Yeah.
And that is something that I think is very relevant to us too.
Mm.
We can use our collective voices for a better life for all women and girls.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Erna, thank you so much. Enjoy the launch. Enjoy the next couple of months. I'm sure you're going to be sharing your book along
Yeah,
the way with many, but thank you for taking the time to talk to Yellow Shelf. And yeah, we would love to have you back in the future for for any future books. We'd love to
Right.
support you.
Terrific. Thank you for your interest. Much appreciated.
My pleasure. Cheers.
Bye bye.